Welcome back to Nicole's Needlecrafts. I'm Nicole, and today I thought I would just start day one of a weekly, maybe bi-weekly vlog, just kind of going through projects as I come across them and as I work on them. Just something that you can put on in the background and enjoy maybe while you're doing your own knitting and crochet projects. Anywho, so the first thing that I'm working on right now, I've been working on it since mid-June, and it's a very fine knit shawl. It's a lace shawl by Drops Patterns. Again, Drops is one of my favorites, so I'm pretty sure all of them are free on Ravelry, so that's another reason why I really like Drops. But it's this guy here, Lemon Heart, that I've been working on. And I'm actually working on it with a yarn that I got from Temu. Not so sure how I feel about Temu yarns yet, but I've ordered quite a bit to try out different ones. And right now I'm using this one here, this SMB hand knitting yarn. It doesn't necessarily have all the info that you'd expect yarn to have on it. It does have info about like grams, meters, yards, and it says it's 100% wool, which by the smell of it, I think it actually is 100% wool. I'm not too worried about that, but it doesn't have much information otherwise. It doesn't say anything about like what needles to use with it or what weight it's considered. Personally, I would consider this probably like a 1 or a 2, probably a 2. I would consider that probably a 2 weight yarn. And I've got it in this really beautiful like greens, yellows, oranges colorway. There we go. Greens, oranges, yellows, very pretty. And it's knitting up really nicely. So far this is what I've got going, and I've actually split the shawl into 2 parts for a few reasons. Typically on my Ravelry page, which would be Nicole's Needlecrafts or Wisp knits, I'll link it down below. Typically on my Ravelry page, I do go through and like write notes every now and then when I'm working on projects, and if I deviate from the pattern, how and why I did that. So there's actually an explanation on there if you prefer to read it. This is what I've got. Oh, a bunch of my stitches have fallen off. Love that. I'll have to fix that after. Basically, this is what I've got so far. I was working it in one piece up until right here, and then I decided that I wanted to start working each side of the triangle individually until it was done, the pattern, and then pick up the other side and work that side. And I did that for a few reasons, one of which being that I just didn't feel like doing rows that were like 400 stitches long. That is incredibly frustrating to me and tedious, so I decided to split it into 2. Also, that way I don't get too bored of doing like one lace pattern at a time. If I split it into 2, then I get to move on to the next one sooner. And then I get to go back and restart the other side, and those old patterns now feel new to me because I've moved past them so far on the previous side. Hopefully that makes sense. Anyway, so that's the big one that I'm working on right now. A couple other things I wanted to work on this week. I've been making a lot of crocheted collar bandanas for dogs, and I want to make a couple for my coworkers. I need to make a size medium in a light purple or lavender for my coworkers Doberman, and then I'm going to make a size small in a red color for my other coworkers Little Jack Russell. So I will show you a little bit more of that once I get to it later this week. That's what I've got planned for this week. There might be other things that come up because I am notoriously someone who gets bored and abandons projects halfway through only to go and try something new. So hopefully that won't happen and I won't actually abandon anything this week, but you never know. Let's get into it. First things first though, I have to recover the stitches I've dropped because they are looking dangerously close to unraveling, especially that one. So I'm just gonna watch some GeoGuessr content on YouTube. I'm watching GeoWizard right now, and recover that. So I was just counting to make sure that I had put the right amount of stitches back on, and I actually had dropped one, I think. So I made it up, hopefully in the correct place I made it up, and we should be able to continue. Alrighty, so it's been a couple of days. I've been making really good progress on the shawl. Haven't yet started the collar bandanas. Those don't take very long. They take maybe 30 minutes to an hour max. So I'm not too worried about getting those done. That'll be a quick little something when I get bored of my current projects. That being said, I have another project that I've added to the roster, and that is socks for my coworker who is getting married. And she's decided that she wants some knit socks, and I of course offered to make them for her. So I'm going to be using a drops pattern. Let me just go, I think it's called Antoinette. Yes, 137-36 Antoinette. I'll put a picture here on screen. I have just started it, and I've started it in this like champagne-y merino wool that I've got. So it's this color here. Really beautiful, just color matched it to something she's gonna wear in her hair today. I also added in just this bit of crochet thread, off-white crochet thread, to give it some strength and some contrast and interest, and it's shaping up really well. Well, it is update time on the wedding socks that I'm making for my coworker. I got this far, and I realized that this is kind of really big. It's big enough to fit me, you know, and I would say a mid-sized person. And my coworker is really small, really petite. Her calf is probably the size of my arm, kind of thing. So I suspected that this was going to be far too big for her. And sure enough, I brought it into work to size it, and it is far too big for her. So I'm going to modify the pattern, because this is actually the smallest size available in the Antoinette pattern by Drops. I'm going to modify the pattern. I'm going to take a couple of panels out. Hopefully I can figure out the math for every panel, because it's slightly different number of stitches for each one. And I'm going to hopefully cut down a couple of inches at least on the diameter. Not the diameter, the circumference of this. Because I need a circumference of about 12 to 13 inches at its widest. So that would actually be like the up here part, which is right now 16 inches. So I actually need to cut down a little more than a couple of inches. So I'm going to go ahead and look at the pattern and kind of compare it to this and see how many panels of each design I need to cut out and work that all out. I'll probably print out the pattern just so I have a hard copy to work on. And then I'm going to rip this all out. And I think I'm actually going to eliminate the little cotton crochet thread that I added into the merino wool. I don't know if you can see that. So I added that in kind of for stability, kind of just for some interest and color contrast. But although I don't think it's making a huge difference to the gauge or anything, I kind of want to just like cheat my way down in gauge to make it smaller. My gauge was correct, so this is the correct size that it's supposed to be. But I think it's just a matter of the person that I'm making it for is quite small. Wish me luck. Okay, so this is, let me see if I can sit here. So this is the sock pattern Antoinette from Drops Design after I've made my modifications to it. It is pretty much the perfect size now for the person I'm gifting it to, and it's also kind of like just a regular sock size. There's quite a lot of stretch to this lace material here, so I feel like maybe either the gauge that they wrote is off, because my original gauge was correct for the pattern, or the sock is just meant to be worn on people who are larger. I guess I'm larger, I am that size, so fair enough, but the person I'm making these for her wedding is quite small, so I'm glad that I could do the math and figure out how to make it smaller. I ended up casting on 84 stitches instead of 120, so it's quite a sizable change to the pattern, and this is what it looks like so far. It's not blocked yet, obviously, so like these bits are curling a little bit. I'm expecting that will kind of block out pretty easily to this like little ridge design up top there. It kind of looks like the top of a crown. Is going quite quickly now. There's a little close-up of it. Very excited. I think I'll be able to knock these out pretty quickly. Not by the end of the month maybe like I had hoped, but I do have all of August and even a little bit of September if I need it. Hopefully it'll all go smoothly with this yarn. I have to refrain from eating blueberries around it though, because I almost ended up dyeing the yarn with blueberry juice when I was eating some frozen blueberries the other day. So The hazards of knitting, I suppose. That being said, I got up really early this morning to go to Costco, which is a few hours away from where I live. So it's now like 1 o'clock and I'm exhausted. So I think I'm gonna go have a nap, shower, and then kind of restart my day after all of that. All right, I will update you in a little bit.
Are we taking a wally break? Because you were barking at the neighbors? Yeah, you're not allowed to bark at the neighbors. I'm sorry. But you can stay with your mama. Oh, is it finished? Oh, yes. Oh.
Here's the lavender. And those just come apart. You can pop it right over the collar. That's it for tonight. I'm probably going to just start working on those wedding socks for a little while and continue watching Good Mythical Morning. And I will update you probably tomorrow. Alrighty, good morning. It is the next day. I am going to sit down and I'm going to design some different objects for the upcoming craft shows I'm going to do this fall and winter. I've got one in October, one in November, and one in December. And I've been thinking I'm going to make those dog collar bandanas. I think those will sell pretty well. And I've been thinking about experimenting with making dog snoods. So like basically like balaclava style hood things. I haven't ever made them before, but there's Wally barking at the neighbors. I've not made them before, but you stay with Mama. But I'm gonna try a couple and see if I can come up with a design like I think I can. But before that, I have to eat my, I'm gonna say breakfast, lunch, brunch. Hopefully that will be good fuel. I'm gonna watch some YouTube, eat that, and then I'm gonna start with designing and prepping for these craft shows that I'm gonna do this fall and winter. Right now it's end of July, so hopefully that gives me enough time to plan out and make a few of each size. I'm also thinking it might be a good idea to do a couple of matching sets so that like human hats could match with dog snoods or collar bandana kind of thing. I'm gonna go ahead and eat and then we'll get started on designing that. Little snood for my boy. Oh, he's upset. He's spaghetti. He's yawning. You stress yawning because of your snood. Oh, it's like he doesn't really like it, but he doesn't hate it. I've made him other things that he hates more. Oh, he got it off. I think this is a great prototype. I'm talking like this because of you, because you're here. This is a great prototype. But I think the next one I make, I'm gonna do single ribbing because it's tighter and it'll actually like tighten around his little neck. But I think this was a great size for a size small. This is a great prototype. You love it when Mommy makes you things. You don't really like, you know, wearing them, but you like playing with them and snuggling with them, eh, Bom Bom? Oh. Prototype number 1, good. So it's been 3 weeks and I started a new project. Are we surprised? Okay, so I still have pretty much all of my projects from before on the go. I pretty much have abandoned my green and gold shawl. I do plan on finishing it, but I want to finish everything else first. I have gotten this far with the wedding sock. This is still only the first one. I'm kind of that kid who like brainstorms really easy and really quickly and really early for projects, but then doesn't actually do the work until like the night before it's due. But I will, because this is for a wedding, I will have them done in good time because I will not put extra stress on somebody who's expecting something for a wedding. That being said, it is mid-August right now, so this is where the sock is at. I'm just about ready to finish this motif and then start by turning the heel. So I think it's going really well. It looks really beautiful. It feels really nice. And it's really easy to finish. My hands have just been hurting lately and these needles are really small, so that's my excuse and I'm sticking to it. Anywho, new projects I have started. I was thinking about what are some smalls that I could make for my upcoming craft shows in October, November, and December, and I decided maybe I'd try making some bookmarks. So I started knitting and crocheting cute little designs for bookmarks. I ordered little plastic sleeves for them. They turned out pretty cute. I even ordered little tassels. And I liked some of the designs, but not all of them. So some of them I think I am going to keep as bookmarks, and some of them I actually decided to mock up some little like wrist cuff bracelet type things with them. They were kind of the perfect size for a nice chunky thick kind of boho feel wristlet cuff. So I've got a few of those here. They're just in a bin at my feet, so I'm going to dip down and grab those. And I think I've got a bookmark or two that I could show as well. I lied. I took everything out of the bookmark slips, but I'll show you what was at one point a bookmark. So that's this. Just some cute little granny squares. 3 little granny squares. Nice and thin. Fits nicely in the plastic sleeve, but honestly, they sit so flat that I feel like they could just be bookmarks on their own. Just like this. And I think a few designs I will do of just like flat granny squares because I think they're adorable, and I think a lot of kids would really like them if they were priced well enough. Last time I went to the craft show, I noticed that quite a few parents had little kids with their own like budget. I guess maybe they were trying to teach their kids how to budget and stuff, so they would give their kids like 2 5s and a 10, so their budget for the day was $20 and they could get whatever they wanted with that $20. And so if I price these, you know, $5, maybe $10 if there's a more intricate one or something like that, I think kids would really like that. I'm not in it for money by any means. I am literally just in it to share the craft. I don't ever count my time in how much I price things for because it's just not reasonable, quite frankly, at least not at this stage. Maybe if I was some kind of famous fiber artist, sure, but I'm not. I'm just some person in Canada who likes to knit. So yeah, I'm thinking nice and cheap. I like to cover the cost of materials, maybe double the cost of materials if I can. So like something like this did not cost me more than like $1 or $2 in yarn. So anyways, that's what I'm thinking. This was another one, and I actually went so far as to back this one with felt. This one is Hobby Universe. It's just a cute little knitted lace pattern. For those that don't know, knitting typically takes a lot longer than crochet, at least from what I've experienced. And I've been knitting for 20 years and I've only been crocheting for like 2 or 3 on and off. Knitting just takes up a lot of time. It's a lot slower, generally speaking. I'm sure there are some crochet crafts out there that take a lot longer. But yeah, I found that knitting something that's going to be priced really low like this wasn't really worth it. So this might be a one of a kind. Then we come to the ones that were bookmarks that I turned into cuffs or bracelets. I have some kind of jewelry making supplies that I've hoarded over the years and never used. So I broke them out. It's made with a mohair, but I am pretty sure it's a faux mohair. Little granny squares, and this one I actually backed with felt as well when I was kind of experimenting with that. There we go. Little chain on this side, and I've got a little lobster clasp. There we go, little lobster clasp. And it just kind of goes like that. This one's not backed at all, but this one's just a little sunflower design. Made it into a little cuff. And then this one, I had some of these like waxed string bracelet bases, I guess you could say, the ones where there's just a knot in the middle and then you can slide it. Again, kind of cute, kind of boho. Something that I think kids would really like. These ones especially I would sell pretty cheap, like probably no more than like $5. Something like this, you know, 10 to 15 maybe for a little bracelet. Not looking to make big bucks, just looking to basically experiment with designs, have fun, and hopefully share the craft with people in a way that they enjoy interacting with on a daily basis. Moving on from that, I wanted to discuss the new project that I started. I was doing all these different things. I was getting bored with my shawl, and then I was making stuff for craft shows and making stuff for my friend who's getting married, making stuff for other people's dogs, and I just really wanted to make something for me, something a little more personal. Again, I was kind of bored of doing the shawl, so that one's hibernating. I promise I will finish it. I do really want to finish it because I want to wear it to school this fall. And I, a few months ago, knit myself a really cute vest which you can find on my Ravelry, I believe. And I did it in Macchiato Cakes by Karen. It's like a wool blend yarn, and loved it. Absolutely love that colorway. I don't remember what the colorway's called. And I decided, you know what, I want to wear more of things like that. So I'm going to make myself another vest, but I wanted it to be a different design. Specifically something that I could maybe give myself a little bit more waist defining shape in. So I settled on this design here. It's called Drops 103-8. So I'm making this vest with a couple of yarns that I got from Temu. I'm not going to go into a big thing about Temu, don't worry. I know a lot of people are getting sick of seeing people do Temu hauls and stuff, but I want to be transparent about where I got this yarn from. So I decided to mix together two. When I did a burn test on this yarn, it mostly ashed, but there was quite a bit of melting. And it does say on the label that there's 5% polyester in it, but I suspect that it's probably more of a 50-50 blend, to be honest. That being said, I held this project double with a second yarn, which I believe is 100% wool, and it says it's 100% wool. When I did a burn test, it turned to ash, just as I would expect from a wool yarn. So I'm going to show you those yarns now, and then I'll show you what they look like held together in the beginning of my vest. So this is the merino, nice dark heather charcoal gray color, and I held it together with a similarly weighted yarn. I would say these are both in the 2-ish range, and I held it with the same yarn, brand wise anyway, just a different colorway, as what I'm making my shawl out of. This is the one that is supposed to be 100% wool, and that's the colorway there. It was very autumnal looking, and that's why I chose it. So I did the gray, and this is what it looks like so far. So you can see that subtle striping ombre effect with the gray, cabling design going on. And this is meant to sit across the chest like this. And I started to feel bad that I started another new project when I've got so many others on the go, and that's why I haven't worked on this in like a week. Me and crafting is just like me jumping from one project to another and then feeling bad that I abandoned my previous projects and then working on nothing, because I feel bad and guilty and I freeze. It's not a great system, but I'm working through it. Usually all it takes for me to get out of it is just to sit down with a piece of paper, write down all the things that I've started and what order I want to finish them in. I don't think that that vest will be finished in this video. I think that it'll probably be the kickoff to a fall vlog. Anywho, I'm gonna go work on some other stuff, and I will update you hopefully sooner than 3 weeks from now. Howdy, and welcome to my car. So today I am on my day off, and I decided to go into work to see my coworker. I'm making socks for her wedding, and I had to modify the pattern to fit her, and then I now have my first sock done, so I tried it on her. This is the final sock. It's kind of beautiful. Very tiny little feet, because she has very tiny little feet, and it did fit her. By my standards, I think it's a bit tight. But I asked her 10 times, you know, are you sure? Are you certain? I have no problem ripping it back and like making certain parts bigger, blah, blah, blah. And she seemed very like adamant that it being tighter is actually a good thing, because she thinks it'll like soften up and loosen up as she wears it throughout the night. I'm still not sure. I'm still like, I want very badly to like take this into my room right now, rip it back and like fix the parts that I thought were too tight, but it's her sock. So I'm not going to do that. What I am going to do is I'm going to start the second sock, because it's a top-down sock pattern, and that part was totally fine. It's more so like the ankle heel part that's a little bit snug and like tough to get it on. But once it's on, she said it's very comfortable. So I don't know. I'm not quite sure, because she's always had issues with like, you know, she'll buy a pair of socks and they're always slipping down all day because she's got fairly small bone structure and whatnot. So I'm thinking I will leave this one, start the other one, work it top down until I get to that like really tight, thin area, and then get her to try this on again, maybe after I've stretched it a little bit, and make sure that she likes it fitting that way. And then I'll finish it accordingly. I'll either rip this one back and refinish it a little bit bigger in the ankle, or I will just make the second sock to match, weave in my ends, and that'll be that. So that's where we're at with that project. It is a really, really cute sock. Like, it fit her really nicely on the calf and the leg. Just this little like ankle bit here, right around this area where it like really had to stretch over like the diagonal of her heel to her ankle bone was where it was a bit snug, but nothing crazy. Like she was still able to like pull it off of her skin and stuff. I just, by my standards, I probably would want it to be like a couple of stitches wider, which I really am kicking myself because when I was making the pattern, I was like, oh, maybe I'll just make this like 40 stitches instead of 38 stitches, but I didn't. And anyway, so yeah, that's where I'm at with that pattern. That's where I'm at with this project. I have, in true Nicole fashion, also started a bunch of other projects in anticipation of doing craft shows and things this summer. So I think I'm going to do a separate vlog for craft show prep and wrap this one up pretty darn soon. Not much concluding going on in this vlog, but this is going to be an ongoing vlogging series. And quite frankly, I think end of August, this is a good place to end this vlog, letting you know where I'm at with all my projects. We've got one sock done and I've got about 2 weeks to make the other one and see if it fits, but I'm hoping to update more in the next vlog. So although this is a bit of an anticlimactic end, I think this is going to be the end of this vlog. You saw a couple of those dog collar bandanas, and I'm going to be making a lot more of those in the next coming vlogs because I want to sell them at the craft shows this fall. So you can look forward to that, as well as some matching hat sets and things like that. So with that being said, I'm going to wrap it up here. Thank you so much for coming along with me this summer, the last couple of months or so, just kind of haphazardly working on projects. I hope that this gave you some form of entertainment, and I hope to see you in the next one.